Hello all and welcome. This is my first video and today we're basically going to explain key reasons as to why you should invest in Kitchener-Waterloo. So there is a series of reasons as to why you're going to want to invest in Kitchener-Waterloo. And one of them is going to be the value. There's a lot of value in Kitchener-Waterloo when it comes to the purchase price relative to the rental rate. To give you an example, the average price of a home in Kitchener goes for about 58% of the price of a home. So if you were to buy a home in Toronto for about $1 million, you're looking at a purchase price of about $580,000 in Kitchener-Waterloo area. The big thing here is, I know it's not Toronto, it's Kitchener-Waterloo, but when we look at the rental rates, the average rental in Kitchener-Waterloo goes for about 93% of the rental that it goes for in Toronto. So if we look at C13, for example, in North York, it's an area in Toronto, one beds rent for about $1,950 to $2,000 a month. In Kitchener-Waterloo, those one bedrooms rent for about $1,650 to $1,700 a month. So we're looking at over 85% of the rental rate relative to less than 60% of the purchase price of that property. Another thing to keep in mind is Kitchener's got nothing on the market. That absorption rate is eating stuff up. You can't find listings that will last on the market for longer than a month if they're set at basically market rate. So it's basically saying there's not a lot of availability in Kitchener-Waterloo, and for good reason. So population and the growth of the population is going to be one of the biggest reasons as to why Kitchener-Waterloo is going to be a great investment in terms of residential units. If we look at Kitchener-Waterloo, it's actually the fourth largest city in all of Ontario. It has just over 570,000 people. Between 2021 and 2022, it's grown by about 10,000 people. We're expecting the population, this is what the regions basically set out, we're expecting the population by 2041 to grow by over 30%. So you can assume that about 160 to 180,000 people are going to migrate towards Kitchener-Waterloo basically over the course of the next 20 years. So there is a lack of housing available in Kitchener-Waterloo with the influx of population that's coming in. The median age in the Kitchener area is about 38 years old, and about 75% of the population is aged between 20 and 55. Fun fact, there was a settlement of a lot of German-speaking people who came towards Kitchener a long time ago, and Kitchener actually used to be called Berlin. Actually, 20% of the population in Kitchener is German. And that's why you kind of see Oktoberfest and a lot of festivities related to Germany in Kitchener-Waterloo. So why is the population growing? Why are we getting so big? Why is Kitchener-Waterloo so important? And basically, it's been dubbed the Silicon Valley of the North. People are going to this area. We got tech giants. They got money coming in. Things are happening. Why? There's a bunch of reasons why. And there's a bunch of companies that are there and reasons why they're there. So before we begin, companies like Google, Shopify, Manulife, BlackBerry, they're housed out of Kitchener-Waterloo. We're seeing more people, more companies move towards Kitchener-Waterloo. To give you an example, OpenText, Fair, a lot of tech startups are moving towards Kitchener and Waterloo. And there's a multitude of reasons as to why they're getting in that space. If we talk about the area as a whole, and why tech is so important in Waterloo, just to give you a little stat, Waterloo actually has the highest average annual salary for any software or tech area across Canada. So that area basically pays the highest, and the average annual salary in 2019 was $95,000. I think the reason why companies are moving towards this area has to do a lot with the education and the talent sector that's available in this area. The University of Waterloo basically houses over 40,000 students and is growing each year annually. And in this university, they actually have a faculty for math, science, STEM, everything related to a bunch of different sectors when it comes to technology, research, and development. And they basically house 24,000 students in these programs that leave the university with another program that gives them basically 2 years of work experience. Now, for these tech giants, for these tech hubs, for these startups that are in the area, it creates a very low-cost opportunity to attract some of the highest tech talent when partnering with universities. To give you an example, A university will pay the salary of a professor. They will be able to get a co-op placement or internship with a student who's going to be at a very low cost. Sometimes they'll partner with the university and actually have the university itself do some of the research on their behalf. So R&D becomes a very low cost to these businesses that are operating in areas like Kitchener-Waterloo. Now, how important is it for a student to go to Kitchener-Waterloo? Pretty freaking important relative to other universities in the area if they're focused on software and tech. To give you an example, the average admission is all above mid 90s for anyone going into the biomedical or software space. They have a 33% acceptance rate for students with a 95 plus average, still subject to interviews. So it's basically telling me it's a tough freaking school to get into. So when you add the fact that you basically have the highest tech talent at the lowest initial cost and the highest possible retention, it kind of makes sense that these companies are moving to Kitchener-Waterloo. Needless to say, there's also other opportunities in Kitchener-Waterloo. We have Conestoga College, which is not far away, and we also have Wilfrid Laurier, which is a university that actually has the largest co-op business program across Canada. So now all of this is happening. What is the city basically putting in place to accommodate for the influx of such a large population? One is they're actually doubling the size of the airport in Waterloo. It's a $44 million project, and it's basically going to double the entire land size. Based off the estimations they have, it's going to double the amount of flights coming in and out of the airport. It's basically a full expansion to make Waterloo-Kitchener a more accessible area. By 2024, they're anticipating that there will be full all-day GO train transit between Kitchener and Toronto, going both ways. Kitchener-Waterloo already has a 19-stop light rail system called ION LRT, and what they're doing is they're actually in the second phase of expanding this light rail system to connect all the way to Cambridge. So for one, growing population, increase in job growth, focus on education and tech sector, and I guess finally is Kitchener-Waterloo really solves the gap between purchase price and rental rates when you do a comparison between it and other urban growth zones like Toronto. Needless to say, if you are finding the right opportunity in Kitchener-Waterloo, it should be and will be a great investment long term. Thanks a ton for watching. If you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe, and I am happy to create more content related to other cities in the GTA.